Hello, I'm SIYU. The title of my news article is Dow climbs 100 points, breaks three-day losing streak on strong retail sales, as deficit reaches record $3.1 trillion. It is an article about how the industry changed since the COVID-19 happened. First, the terminologies in this article are broad market, a stock index that covers large numbers of securities across multiple industries to provide a general overview of market conditions. Dow Jones Industrial Average, the most widely used indicator of the overall condition of the stock market, a price-weighted average of 30 actively traded blue-chip stocks, primarily industrials. S&P 500, Standard & Poor's 500. The SP index is weighted by market value, and its performance is thought to be representative of the stock market as a whole. Budget deficit. Expenses exceed revenue, indicates the financial health of a country. The government generally uses the term budget deficit when referring to spending rather than businesses or individuals. Fiscal year, a one-year period that companies and governments use for financial reporting and budgeting. A fiscal year is most commonly used for accounting purposes to prepare financial statements. Second, what happened? The Dow Jones Industrial Average ended the day up 112 points, or 0.4%, and the SP 500 ticked up less than 0.1%, while the tech-heavy Nasdaq fell 0.4%. Shares of bankrupt car rental company Hertz and Global skyrocketed up nearly 150 after the firm announced Friday morning that it's raised nearly $1.7 billion in debt financing that should help the firm weather the pandemic's toll on the travel industry. U.S. industrial production ticked up 0.6% in September, the weakest showing since this spring. The United States budget deficit reached a record $3.1 trillion in fiscal 2020, $2.1 trillion more than the deficit in 2019. Third, why did it happen? The reasons are listed below. The COVID-19 occurred since the very first of this year and has not ended till now. The world has completely changed at that time. People were afraid of being infected. Life was under threat. To avoid being infected, governments shut down some production activities so that people would not need to gather in one place to increase the risk. And the government also ripped up spending to combat the coronavirus pandemic and to support people's life, like commodity and food, medical equipment, and coupons for consumption. People did not go out often like they were before. Instead, they buy things online. Shops closed or even went under because turnover is less than cost. They were no longer making any profit to support opening the shop. Big brands may undergo, but small ones are facing the risk of going under. Consumption is hugely influenced, along with unemployment and country's economy. Therefore, stock market also had ups and downs. Fifth, what are the potential impacts of the event? Inflation. To help people get through the difficulties, governments keep spending money. Budget deficit keeps increasing. Unemployment rate keeps increasing. People do not go to work or even lose their job and income. More and more people will get infected if governments do not consider the COVID-19 seriously. Useful vaccine has not yet been developed, and the virus is unpredictable because it will mutate at any time, may be more deadly than when it first appeared. Panic and the disappointment of people towards life. Life will be a lot more difficult. What is your opinion? The COVID-19 has deeply changed our life. People, shops, factories, companies, governments all suffered a lot in this disaster. It is confusing that why some countries did not care about it from the start after seeing the suffering of Chinese people. Isn't the price painful enough? Now we have been recovering, but outside there are a number of infected people is still right, but the number of infected people is still rising. It will not go to an end if there's still country that has infected people. Investment of stock market is risky. There are many factors that can influence it. Common people often cannot predict when it will rise, when it will fall. Be cautious when investing. Reference the lists below.